Ather Energy and Ola Electric, two giants driving India's electric two-wheeler revolution, went public a little while back. Everyone was watching, but the market decided to add a few twists of its own. Now you fast forward to today, September 2025, Ather stock up 65%. Ola Electric down 22%. Just not what anyone expected. So why this rather wild split for Ather, which is now being called the Apple of e-scooters, and for Ola, which is being dubbed the Tesla of two-wheelers? And you add to this the old school heavyweights, which is TVS and Bajaj, ramping up their own electric beasts. Who's really going to rule the electrified road war? Welcome to Bottom Line by Grow. Today, we are slicing through all the buzz to chat about what truly sets Ola and Ather apart, and also really look at the wider EV wars so that we can make smarter bets for our portfolios. Let's get charged. Now, India's electric two-wheeler world is transforming at warp, race, buzz, whatever marketing term you want, speed. And with government initiatives like FAME2, subsidies went up to 60,000 rupees per bike, and the entire segment sprinted from near zero in FY20 to 5.8% of new sales in 2025. But then things got switched up in June 2023. You had the FAME2 incentives that dropped, and the market took a breather. And to this, you also add stricter localization rules that kind of turned up the heat, and you had early players like Okinawa, Hero Electric, they struggled. And you had import-reliant startups that entirely started vanishing. What happened next? Consolidation. You had the Toba EV gang, TVS, Ola, Bajaj, Ather. They took over. And by 2025, this power group controlled about 80% of all the sales. Now, let's zoom in on Ather versus Ola, two pure play rivals. Now, Ather was founded in 2013 by IIT Madras grads, and they went all in on tech and premium experience. Now, 5 years in R&D, no shortcuts, no Chinese kits. They gunned for, top-notch quality performance and customer happiness. Basically the Apple of scooters, built with brains, not just materials. Ola Electric, they took an entirely different playbook. Now, they came alive in 2017 as a part of Ola Cabs, which was then spun off. Now, they went for the masses. Aggressive prices and massive scale from day one. It's the ambition that earned it the Tesla tag. Now, every part of Ola and Ather's company reflects that split from riding experience to ambitions. So let's first talk product, right? So Ather sits in that premium territory. Their flagship 450X and S, 450X and 450S, they're about 1.3 to 1.6 lakhs rupees ex-showroom. Now think sporty design, aluminium chassis, slick software. They have a proper ecosystem, OTA updates, remote diagnostics, smartphone linking. They had 86% of users paying for their software upgrades in FY25. And paying for software, that's a massive flex. And Ather's reach widened in May 2024, last year, with Rista. This, is their family-friendly mass market scooter priced at a little over 1.5 lakh rupees. Now, this boosted their sales by 42%, and in FY25, it now drives over half their volumes. And they're even experimenting with lithium iron phosphate batteries. These are cheaper, tougher, and they're moving past the NMC, the nickel, manganese, cobalt cells. As for Ola, they cover at every price point from 65 grand to 1.7 lakh. You take your pick. You've got S1 Pro, S1, Budget S1 Air, and Ola's Gen 2 and Gen 3 scooters focus on slashing costs, and Gen 3 alone made up to 56% of their Q1 FY26 sales. And Ola didn't stop just at scooters. Ola also has electric motorcycles like the Roadster, which Ather hasn't touched yet. And when it comes to software, Ola's Move OS had some hiccups early on, but it's kind of improved a lot since they launched. Let's chat about how these things come together. Factories. Now, Ather took a slow and steady route. They built their Tamil Nadu plant capacity with a capacity of about a little over 1 lakh units a year. And to scale, they're building their factory 3.0 in Aurangabad, and that's adding another extra 5 lakh units a year with hands-on control over everything, electronics and motors. And with distribution, Ather went the franchisee way. Super quick rollout. 446 experience centers by Q1 FY26, and they're targeting around 700 by the end of FY26. And when it comes to powering their vehicles, charging, Ather Grid's got over 4,700 chargers, and it's the biggest EV bike charging network in our country. Now, customer satisfaction really high. Folks love their service and the entire vibe that comes along with Ather. Fast charge and fast fans. Now, Ola is playing the big game in Tamil Nadu with their future factory. It's hyped as the world's largest two-wheeler plant, and their goal, 10 million units a year. For now, it's at about 1 million, and they're kind of ramping up and running, and it's all about scaling really, really fast. You know, dream big, build bigger, and get on with it. Now, this let Ola rocket to around 35% of market share by FY24. But they had their growing pains. You know, there were delivery delays, there were service snags along the way. So Ola moved from an only online way of purchasing their vehicles to opening over 430 experience service center by FY24. When it comes to charging, Ola's got grand plans with their hypercharger, but it's kind of still catching up with Ather's grid. And in this case, catching up will not be easy. You see, Ola is also investing huge in making its own batteries, motors, even ABS brakes. It's super vertical integration. In contrast, Ather is preferring a far tighter approach, focusing on designs, but finding the right partner to get the components aboard. Alright, let's look at the scoreboard. How do these strategies play out? You see, as the hype starts to cool down, execution matters even more. Now, leadership swung month by month, but TVS has been the consistent number one in Q1 FY26 and through August. Ola's share kind of dropped a little below 35% in FY24 to below 30% in FY25, with TVS now in the monthly leader space. Ather up from 7.6 to 14.3%, running close behind Ola. So, why the shift? See, first up, PMF, product market fit. TVS iQube nails it when it comes to reliability, price, features, and their reach. And Ather's Rista nailed the family scooter appeal. Now it's their major seller for them. Now Ola's cost cutting and portfolio refreshes are promising, but timing is everything right now. Secondly, supply chain issues. You see, that rare earth magnet supply, China import bans, well, that kind of messed up rankings for them. TVS is still leading. Ather outpaces Ola now and then. Bajaj's Chetak, unfortunately, output slashed by half. Third, distribution and service. TVS has old network, and that wins big as the market goes mainstream. Ather's expanded beyond South India, and now they're kind of reaching more homes. And market share tells one tale, but we now have to start cracking the books. Now, Ather's Q1 FY26 sales, 672.9 crores, and it's up 83% YOY thanks to Rista and an aggressive retail rollout. Profits also jumped. Gross profit was up 117%, and margins are getting juicier. Non-vehicle revenue at 12%. Now, EBITDA loss, that narrowed to 106 crore, a 1700 basis point improvement. Net loss at 178.2 crore, and this is proof that scale does help. Let's look at Ola. Q1 FY26 revenue was 828 crore, and that's 50% down YOY, but sequentially up from 611 crores from Q4 FY25. Why? It was a volumes reset. They had 68,192 deliveries versus 1.25 lakh a year ago. Competition's hot, but deliveries rose quarter on quarter, helping that top line. Gross margins soared to 25.6% thanks to cost cutting, and their Lakshya program slashed OPEX and material costs by 870 crore rupees. Cut costs, margin boost. Ola's net loss, 428 crore rupees, up 23% YOY, though half of what it was sequentially. So, what about the future? Ather's plan? Disciplined scale, doubling network to 700 centers by FY26, and they want to push outside the south of India. Now, supply crunch is a risk, especially when it comes to these rare earth magnets, but management is saying just a week's impact in Q2 using inventory as a buffer. Now, Ather's R&D focus is also serious. 45% of their team is in research compared to Ola's 23.6%. They're working on battery innovation and platform refreshes to keep improving margin and scale. R&D muscles can make magic. Ola, they're betting the house on vertical integration. They're rolling rare earth-free motors soon, in-house Bharat 4680 battery cell production by September end, targeting 1.4 gigawatt-hour utilization for FY26 and ramping up to 5 gigawatt-hour by FY27. But really, amidst all this, right, here's the wild card. Longer road to profitability and ongoing cash burn for both. There's no positive operating cash flow yet. Now, new funding keeps things moving, which matters most for Ola. Their market cap to debt ratio is 7.3 versus Ather's 33.2. Now, that means Ather's borrowing have far more equity cushion, and it's helpful if the conditions tighten. More buffer, less worry. Now, Ola claims auto EBITDA turned positive in June with 5% targeted by FY26. They expect operating cash flow to be positive later in FY26 and free cash flow by FY26 exit. For battery cells, free cash flow by FY27. Ather, getting there, but no clear break-even date yet. If break-even slips, more funding might come with tough terms for both. So keep an eye out for that. Profit runway? Watch that one closely. And the risks don't stop. Policy changes can shake things up. Now, both are exposed to the FAME 2 swings. The 2023 cuts hit everyone hard, but the subsidy share is falling. For Ather, from 16% in FY24 to just 6% in FY25, but it's still a watch out. Policy moves, big impacts. Now, subsidy localization rules also matter. Ather also carries a 612 million rupees liability for customs and GST claims, and that's a material threat. Ola's is negligible. Now, competition is only getting fiercer with legacy names like TVS and Bajaj scaling up and going toe-to-toe with Ola on mass models and with Ather on the premium space. Well, in short, both Ather and Ola remain high-growth, loss-making EV stars, but with very different investor profiles. The market split is crystal clear. Ather's market cap, a little over 20,550 crores. Ola, almost touching 26,000, and it's valued at 9.1x the sales for Ather and 6.9x for Ola. Simply put, Ola's got more revenue, but Ather gets the higher multiple. Why? Momentum in unit economics versus capex and consistency worries for Ola, even as it pushes margins up. Ather's seen as a growth compounder. Ola's got the scale, but it must prove that it can keep winning. So who do you think will take the crown? Ather, Ola, or a legacy player? Drop your views below. Let's spark the chatter down in the comments, and thanks for watching this episode of Bottom Line by Grow.
Investment in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing. Please read the risk disclosure documents carefully before investing in equity shares, derivatives, mutual fund, and or other instruments traded on the stock exchanges.